BTCandCrypto.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. All right, hello everybody. I think Chris said I'm live here. Happy Monday morning. It's a little bit of a screwy day. Happy 9/11 anniversary day. I don't know. Happy fake war justification day. And get yourself in the hot water, I suppose, with Big Brother if you start talking like that. Anyway, it is what it is. It is Monday morning. Let's try and make a positive difference in this world. And I hope you guys all enjoyed the broiler chickens offering yesterday. And actually, Liam and I, while the weather was still relatively nice, went up for a nice drive in the mountains yesterday. It was actually a pretty long trip. Hey, there's Meg. I haven't seen Meg in a while. I think I saw your cohort in here last week. Anyway, nice to see you, Meg. She's like, what happened? What happened? Anyway, I always like when I see the OGs trickle back into the video calls. Yeah, over the summer, a lot of, and you're not alone, right? A lot of people sort of check out for the summer. So anyway, great to see you, ma'am. And of course, we got another exciting another exciting fall episode of As the Stomach Churns. Will Betty confess her relationship with Dr. Bob? Oh, all right. Anyway. Okay, so it is Monday. A little bit late starting here today. My apologies, everyone. Monday, September 11th. Oh boy, dun dun dun. Did notice actually it was interesting. I got this Top Step combine going again, and I think my subconscious is telling me it doesn't make sense for me to do the boot camp. All the people that were interested in the boot camp. I don't know. Maybe it was psychosomatic when I came down sick there last week. Anyway, I'm feeling better. I stayed in bed all weekend, which was tough. But I was well enough to give Liam a good day, and I did the broiler chickens yesterday. So I think I did my jobs. But went into the Top Step community first thing this morning, and I noticed that their trading platform that I happen to choose to use, their Quant Tower, is just absolute mess today. So that was a big sort of red warning flag, I suppose, unto itself. And then, of course, it's Monday, so I don't really like to take a lot of aggressive activity on Mondays anyway. And I kind of noticed that they sort of set up, but nothing really came in solid. So I didn't really, wasn't too upset with myself for not taking a trade. As you can see, I'm trying to be sort of the demonstrator of best practices. In fact, I think what we're going to do this term is I would like to, anybody who's in the level, I guess the level 2 program, moving on to the level 3 program, and anybody who just took the level 3 program, if you are listening, I think what I'm going to do is try and retool it so that the level 3 program looks and feels a lot more like the level 1 and 2, or level 3 looks more like the level 1 and 2. So to that end, I think I'm going to hop in and do sort of a group session this term while we sort of retool the program. So everybody who was in the level 3 program this most recent term, and anybody who would have been in the level 3 program this current term, we'll just have a hangout session every Tuesday so you can review the material that we would have done anyway, but consider it sort of like a free term on TRI. And I'm just going to sit and I'll be sort of helping you guys out, answering questions and stuff during the regular class time. So look for that. We've already set up the level 3 room, but like I said, it's going to be very informal this term with the idea of January 2024, it's sort of being in line with the rest of level 1 and level 2. So I guess just the simple message is if you we're planning on taking the level 3 this term, just be sure to look out for that room invite and PM me if you want. Hey, Brian, I was going to do level 3 this term. What's going on here? And Julian was going to furnish me with that list of people that were going to take the level 3. And we'll just all sort of huddle up and we'll figure out how we'll do these group sessions through this term. Um, and I think we'll leave it at that for now. If anything, let's try and maybe tomorrow. Tuesday is usually a pretty good day. I think that's the day that we normally do it. Let's try and maybe huddle up in the room. I'll go into the room later on today and also reiterate this message. So level 1s and level 2s seem to be rocking and rolling, and Zach's got his level 4 program kicking butt. So I think on balance, things are humming along. And interestingly enough, I don't know what's going on. The screeners, Sjord's done a couple changes here recently, and the signals are kind of a little bit messy right now. So never been closer. We're back to that kind of conversation. I will say that the breadth algo is kicking butt. I think I had mentioned, in fact, actually on the show yesterday, we had talked explicitly about if you ever do see the crypto rollover negative with the S&P 500 negative, oh boy, that's a bad sign. Be careful. And indeed, the Bitcoin price came off substantially here today. And our last algo signal, in fact, actually the system itself is auto trading this now. The last signal came in there, I guess a couple days ago, right in here. So algo's kicking butt. Way to go, algo. And generally speaking, I would be very careful. Like September is usually a tough month anyway. So I did see some shenanigans, of course, out of these crazy ass tech stocks. I mean, they're up and down like a horse drawers. We've got Nvidia now, which was the market darling like a week or two ago, now absolutely puking out. And in fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think Nvidia actually has now a nice double top breakdown working. So big old M that's actually now confirmed. So go figure. I'm sure this stock has probably trapped a lot of people. It's just an absolute mess here. And you can see things like market darlings. This AMD's just been slowly grinding its way lower here as well. So it's odd because like Apple's a mess. In fact, actually, we heard some really weird false rumors coming out of the Apple China nonsense there a week or so ago. So I'm not totally sold on the idea that Apple is being banned in China. I mean, the rhetoric flying around the world right now, man, the world is an incredibly tense place to be in. Kind of pity these humans. This is a stressful environment, which is such a shame because, like the latter part of the 19th century, or well, I'm not that old, latter part of the 20th century, God, it was just such a nice time to be alive. And yeah, anyway, and I would even say sort of like once we got sort of comfortably into the 2020s, or I guess the 20 teens, yeah, life was generally comfortable there, especially when we went through that crypto bull market there into I guess the end of the teens. This 20s though, man, this is tough sledding here. So go slowly with your plans here. Understand that different market states demand different temperaments, and I haven't really been that aggressive in the market because I just don't really like the market state right now. And I suppose you could argue, this all kind of comes back to this notion of, don't fight the Fed. Until the Fed is done trying to be a pain in the butt in our lives, and until we actually get back to where they actually take a back seat in society and the economy is just humming along on its own, I would go very, very slowly with risking a lot of money in the marketplace right now. So anyway, maybe that's a bit of rhetoric. Start your Monday off. Rhetoric, rah, rah, rah. So what did I do first thing out of the gate? Of course, demonstrator of best practices. I think it's a good idea for all of you to do this. Check in with yourself. How's your computer equipment going? How's your diet and exercise? How's your sleep schedule? I did force myself to try and get to bed relatively early last night, so I was up at 5 a.m., bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to go. What was sort of the economic backdrop that sort of started our day? Eurozone growth forecast revised lower. Oh, there's a big surprise. And also, too, I like to sort of just take a boo over at Asia and see what they did overnight. Interesting how we have a kind of a mixed message. Some of the Chinese sort of bursts, if you will, and even Australia up a little bit, Japan down a bit. Kind of a mixed bag. And what was interesting about today, which you don't see very often, is the econs were almost non-existent here today, which is a bit of a surprise. I mean, usually we get some economic data to work with, but that's the whole slate for Monday. You see, North America, it's like they didn't even show up for the party here today. So as a result, it's been a really kind of wonky market state here to start the day here in North America. There's no real sort of fundamental drivers. And I did read, actually, I guess I heard overnight, Morgan Stanley came out with a big outlandish price objective for that Tesla stock. The highest price objective ever in human history. I don't know. But that did catch a lot of people's attention. And as I said, the Tesla stock did launch itself higher. It's interesting that they did that, considering this very specific level here on the Tesla stock. This is that outside downside key reversal bar. And we were kind of wondering, how was this going to play out? Because the market came back to that breakdown level a couple times. And the rule theoretically, I don't know, that I've just found in my trading days is that if you do actually hit 50% of your profit objective, it's not a bad idea to move your stop to scratch. Hindsight being 2020, obviously that would have been a half decent idea. I don't know. But you might find that, man, the key reversal bar just keeps working. I mean, we haven't really done anything here other than gap higher today. But I suppose if you were in that key reversal trade, it is underwater now. It'll be interesting to see how it acts up at this candle body highs up here. But I have noticed that, like I said, the whole market gapped violently higher here on the open, at least all these tech stocks. But now they're starting to flounder. Apple's actually down. You see it's a red candle now. Like I said, the semiconductors, they're getting smoked here now. Netflix looks like it could easily M out. I was a bit surprised to see how Meta kind of floundering here. So as a result, yes, the S&P 500 gapped higher. We don't like these price gaps anyway. You can see it's painting a red candle now. And same thing on the NASDAQ. So other than Tesla, I don't really see a whole lot. I guess another one we should probably mention is Amazon is continuing. It did have a bullish Q reversal there middle of last week. I would have loved to have shown you that on this screener, but I don't know. Seward's changing something on the screeners. So as a result, they're not showing now, which is a little bit of a bummer. Never been closer, but that's the kind of thing that we really need to see produced. So where was anyway, it is what it is. So I don't know. I'm just kind of not feeling it for the stock market right now. Interestingly enough, we've got the Russell 2000 up about a little less than 0.5%. S&P's, you can see the whole damn market gapped higher here right out of the gate this morning. S&P's up about 0.5%. There's the tech stocks sort of leading the charge, and then good old brick and mortar, I suppose you call. I mean, just violent gap higher on the open, and then we've just melted down here heading through the morning. So a little bit suspicious. And they always say, if you're looking for sort of tips to write down, in fact, maybe I'll even do a short on this on Wednesday. They always say the semiconductors are like the ultimate leading indicator in the market. So as I had said there a moment ago, And actually, SMH, whenever I say SMH, I always think of Ronnie Backman. Anyway, you look at that chart, and I don't know. That's a weekly price chart. Oh boy, that looks a bit dangerous. Ooh, danger, Will Robinson, danger. I mean, we've come an awful long way since basically, I guess, 1 year, eh? And man, that's looking very emmy. So we haven't broken yet, but everybody was all in love with that NVDA, the NVIDIA. And now I actually started to hear some rumors that they were kind of faking stuff, and there was some weird sort of I don't know. I don't quite understand the story. I'd probably have to look into it a bit more to really understand. But I was a little bit surprised to hear that the rumors were not happy. And of course, I've always told you guys, if you ever see a stock or a commodity or something move a good 2.5% on the day, that's going to get the traders' attention. So that was a little bit surprising. I suppose there's the daily chart. You can see that M top. Maybe what this is probably going to start forming is some sort of big head and shoulders. So if anything in the near term, I'd probably look for NVIDIA to come back down into this support line, that low there, that low there. And what does that appear to be? So that's yeah, that's a big fat round number. So that would make sense too. That's just it's pretty typical of the market. And look at the size of this gap right here. So NVIDIA could use a bit of cleaning up here. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Julian even told you on Thursday he was short NVIDIA. So I hope that trade works out for him. All right, back to our story here. So the econs were basically non-existent here this morning. It's a little bit of a surprise. It's 9/11. So I had asked Chris, as a good American, whether he observed the 9/11. Usually they have like anniversary somber events and they ring bells and all that kind of stuff. I didn't really hear anybody talking too much about it this morning, but I would imagine there's probably some sort of leftovers about that going on in New York and stuff. When I actually looked at the market and looked at levels, I noticed, you see, there's kind of a general theme. First thing this morning, we had a moving average sandwich on crude, which meant that basically trapped in a range. And when I first woke up this morning, of course, that's a doji candle, which means indecision. We could have easily broken up or down, no problem. Actually, this is the gold market, beg your pardon. Same thing happened in the crude market. Notice that same consolidation. There's crude. So another doji at about 5 o'clock this morning. So everybody was kind of sitting there going, okay, well, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. Where do you want to go? And interesting enough, with regard to the crude market, these moving averages were pointing bullishly. We were trapped in this range, but you can see it almost looked like it was like a wedge that was getting ready, and the energy was just coiling. And sure enough, that energy was released on the open. But unfortunately, typical sort of Monday kind of price action. The energy was released to the upside. So when I first did my analysis, this is kind of like no man's land. I'm not really allowed to trade in here. I'm allowed to short extremes. And you can see I was actually looking at I don't know whether it was a naked block or not, but it sort of seemed like it to me on the 30-minute here this morning. Or yeah, this leftover price action. You see, we opened up here today. We're playing all around in here, and I was sort of like, okay, well, I'll keep an eye on how we act against this level. And then, of course, the horizontal support and resistance, which is kind of like my preferred trade location. That ultimately is where the top came in. And if I was just trading trade location, then okay, and that wouldn't have been a half decent area to consider a trade. So as we were coming into that level, that was off of the breakout here. I want to see a divergence, and unfortunately, not a shame. As time goes by, these divergence signals from this little indicator disappear. but hopefully you can see if I show you here. Yeah, I didn't really get the best divergent signal up top here. So I didn't really pay that close attention, especially, like individual candles, that's a shooting star. Of course, we've talked lots about these kind of things. The internet kids, they'll call that a inverted hammer or whatever. But anyway, for your reference, there is a good looking shooting star, which did paint an M top. But the problem there, of course, you can see I'm allowed to risk at maximum on any kind of setup 24 ticks. And you can see that would have been outside my wheelhouse. This M did come in, but it's just too big of a risk. So I'm not allowed to take that kind of trade. It's too bad. As you can see, M top, if we just did a 2-to-1 risk reward, let's say I shorted that level and I risked to the shooting star top and forced myself to take profits at 2-to-1. You can see 2-to-1 came in over here. So boom. So on balance, I guess there was a trade there, but this was really messy and I didn't really have any divs up here to really help me. And especially my favorite div indicator, the MACD histogram, it didn't really produce a nice M that I could work with. And there was a hell of a lot of buying volume there to start the day. So I just left it. And really, my affirmations every morning is what I really want to do is just demonstrate best practices to you. I don't really care about the money on the Top Step Combine, but what I really want to do is I just want to demonstrate that, the 3-step setup that I teach you guys in the education program. I just basically want to demonstrate that over there on Top Step. So that's what I'm going to do. If the setup comes in, great, I'll take it. If I don't see it, I'll let it go. So what? Going to use the Top Step people to actually validate all of this in the public's eyes. I'm going to take every single valid setup that I see every day. You can see these are my daily affirmations. And I actually have to go through the process of actually visualizing me accurately and correctly identifying setups and executing correctly. This is what I am going to do. And there really isn't any ifs, ands, or buts. So I was all ready to go here, but as you can see, my 4-hour levels, I had, first thing out of the gate, kind of sitting here going, well, I can sell up here. I can short down here. We did get that spike way up top here, all the way up top here. But as I just illustrated to you there a second ago, I didn't have anything fire for me up top there. Didn't really have the indicator signals, and I didn't have price structure that worked with me. So I was just left at that spot. No big deal. Come back and play again tomorrow. If anything, Mondays, I don't really like to take trades on Mondays. It's a little bit wishy-washy. And also too, I'm a little bit leery about this market right now. It's a little bit concerning. So, okay, so that's sort of your crude oil summary for whatever it's worth. Like I said, there was no news, no econs, so I didn't really want to get too wrapped up in trying to force the issue. We can take a look at some other levels. If we look at the stock market, for instance, pretty well-defined top. We came down into 2.618 into the end of the week. Put in what I would consider pretty good-looking double bottom, especially some really nice railroad tracks, tweezers bottoms kind of ideas, which of course paint Foggenbaums to the upside. And as you can see on this right up here, I can start thinking about shorting up in this area up here. I can't really do a heck of a lot right here. We're kind of in no man's land right now. Also, too, you can see we've got moving averages all over the place, kind of mixed signals, and actually, interesting enough, pretty bearish moving average signals. So, again, I didn't really want to force anything in the stock market. And actually, it'd be interesting just to take a look at what that 4-hour chart looks like now. All right, so the end result of all of that, and I did see a couple pretty wild candles here. in the stock market. So it kind of led me to believe that, just playing it cool is probably the right idea. So we were looking at it first thing this morning. You can see kind of a moving average sandwich had this huge spike up into the 200 SMA, and then they bitch slapped it right back down against this trend line. And I really like this trend line off of the top. This is going back quite a ways, just off of that M top there. And I really liked how the market sort of walked its way along here. Remember, the break of the trend line is not a trade. And notice how we walked our way, kind of like how Bitcoin did. And then we lost the trend line and puked right out, all the way, interesting enough, into an old harmonic objective. I don't know whether that's relevant or not. And here we are playing right back at that trend line again. So kind of just, this is like no man's land to me. I can't really do one thing or another. And as you can see from arrows, if we did get a big spike up top here into all these wicks and into this original market structure failure, Hoag's kickoff levels, well, then I think we could probably think about some sort of short up there. But nothing really came in. So just left it alone. And as I said, again, really funny. I mean, I suppose that Amazon signal was pretty solid, but Nvidia, AMD, this leading semiconductor stocks, not happy with what I'm seeing there. There is the S&P 500 day trader, or excuse me, stock market, the ETF chart. Man, kind of a mess. There's nothing for a guy like me to do right there. And same thing with QQQs. So it's a big hurry up and do nothing kind of day for me in the market. I suppose the only other thing I suppose we ought to talk about, and I alluded to it a bit earlier, good old Bitcoin. The weekly chart, when we go through this broiler chicken show, kind of pointed out we had just a world of bearish divs here on the weekly price chart. Cool your jets, and yes, indeed, it looks like we're just working our way lower here. We've now finally come into what I would consider sort of a magnet, this big fat round number, $25,000. And it was just a question of, there was, in fact, off the daily chart, I think I had shown you guys that there were like, I don't know, I think maybe like 5 different reasons to look for the market to come down into that 25 level. So we finally did. In fact, we have a longtime site member, Fred, who I'm sure is watching this, and he's like, I don't know, man, this 1.618's got to be tagged, man. So I don't really want to do anything until that's happened. And sure enough, it has finally been tagged. So there you go, Fred. Merry Christmas. Candle body lows for trade location. You've heard me say that 152 million times. And look at that killer level right there. So remember, this was Mr. Fink's I want an ETF, kind of no real fundamental justification for this market to actually bottom here, but other than he was just blowing smoke up people's butts. And we have now officially come right back down, and they've hit the reset button. And even these poor little bears that were trapped down in this tail, they were actually given release there first thing this morning. Now, did they cover? I don't know. That's a tough one. But as I said, we had like 5 different reasons to look for the market to come down into this level, and it has finally happened. As I said, got a 2 TRI's horn. I was very impressed. The signal came in, and more importantly, the system automatically took the trade. So one thing we can hang our hats on is TRI's algo is kicking ass. Way to go, algo! Woo! As to the broader crypto market, I think we had sort of said it yesterday. Chris and helps me out a lot with writing the emails, getting you guys ready for that broiler chicken or that newsletter. Getting you ready for that broiler chicken show, and I really like that newsletter. I think it's a nice way to sort of summarize what we're thinking in the market. And just FYI, we do have it in the library. I mean, we have so many links here now. Where the hell's the library? It's in one of these damn tabs. Newsletters. You can see we're starting to fill up here. So most recent newsletter commentary. We had said yesterday that coming out of the end of last week, there were some real sort of concerns about crypto and the fact that FTX was going to be dumping a lot of crypto into the market here to try and sort of raise all the funds that mysteriously disappeared for customers. Also, too, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Gensler is continuing his sort of war with crypto, CFTC. Oh, actually, this isn't Gensler. So that's SEC. But this, geez, can't get my green screen to cooperate here. Sorry, everyone. This is CFTC. So this is Garziano. Garza. Actually, and I think he's gone now. But this is a completely different animal. This is the Futures Trading Commission, another regulator. But in essence, they're bitching at DeFi protocols. So we got, big sell pressure just across the crypto market from the FTX. We've got, of course, more regulators saber rattling. And of course, we still have the China FUD about what the hell's going on over there. And if I understand correctly, I think Colin was mentioning this on Friday that Binance has had quite a bit of negative sort of things happening that were sort of piling up, and he was getting concerned that maybe you might hear some like Binance liquidity issues and stuff. So put it all together. I think as I showed you, and I don't really, in fact, actually, you know what? We'll do this for the after party. Yeah, crypto's looking a little heavy right now. And I have to, I'm very pleased to see that the algo is right on spot. So anybody at least who subscribed to this signal, and even if you traded like one Bitcoin, you just made the price of an annual subscription to this signaling system with one trade. Way to go. So I think I'm probably going to leave the free broadcast at that. We'll pop on over to the after party, maybe take a look at the US dollar index. US dollar index is actually flashing warnings that it's topping out here. But what I'm worried about here is this is like a sell the rumor that maybe the inflation numbers are going to be weak and maybe the Fed's not going to be raising rates anymore. Then we get a big old counter trend rally once we get into the Fed, which is later on in the week. In fact, I think that might even be that reference line there. So point here is we'll delve into what some of the other signals in the system are telling us here, and maybe take a look at things like US dollars and altcoins and all that kind of fun stuff in the after party. All right. I hope you got some value out of that. Way to go, algos, killing it on the signals. Slow and steady wins the race. It is Monday. Try not to take any wooden nickels here today. Remember what your number one job is as a trader. That's to make sure you can come back and play the game again tomorrow. And then when it comes to the stock market, we're kind of like too expensive to be aggressively buying and too cheap to be aggressively selling. This, if anything, I think is a perfect analogy of no man's land. So go slowly this Monday out of the gate. Tuesday, Wednesdays, usually 70-80% of the time, that's where they set up a half decent trade idea. So keep that in the back of your mind. All right. Have yourselves a great day. PMA for the win. All the best. Slow and steady wins race. And bye for now.